Welcome to today's webinar. It's about how to grow your restoration business with social media. And I'm your host, Sean McMean, the founder of Vinnie Restoration Marketing. I started in the marketing space years and years ago, but over the last 7-8 years, we've been focused on the restoration space, and we help a lot of clients across the country. Today's webinar, the real goal of this is to give you some actionable tips about how social media can help you, dispel some rumors about social media, and the tricks and tips that, not really tricks, but they're tips on how to get the best use out of social media. And so let's go, without a further ado, let's go ahead and share my screen with you guys here. If you could do me a favor in the chat, make sure you can see my screen here. Go ahead and type 1 in the chat if you can actually see my screen. Perfect. Thanks. Thanks everybody for sharing that. Okay, so let's get started. Let's back up. All right. So over the next several minutes, what I'm going to share with you is how to turn your restoration business into a trusted local brand without spending a dime on social media ads. I'm not sure who here actually runs any social media ads, but if you're doing that now, there's definitely some benefits there to it, but you don't have to run social media ads in order to have the benefit from social media. So we're going to talk about that specifically. Just a little bit about me, short little blurb here. Again, my name is Sean McMean. We do have a company that helps a lot of restoration companies across the country. And I got into this industry because of a couple of reasons. Number one, I was a homeowner that was impacted by a flood. So I know exactly what it is when my basement flooded and caused a complete disaster. But also many people don't know that when I was 7 years old, my house got struck by lightning. My family's house got struck by lightning and burned to the ground. And I still remember to this day that flames coming out of the house. And so my passion comes from actually experiencing these issues firsthand in my life. And so I know how much of an impact you guys can have on homeowners and businesses that that go through these experiences. And so that is my passion, to connect a lot of businesses, a lot of companies with people like myself that experienced these types of issues. And we all know there's tons of competition out there, but I want to be able to give you some resources here and some tips on how to help you grow your business specifically. Every business is unique, but I do have a podcast where we talk about tips and tricks and things like that can help you grow your business. Along with, I have a book that you're going to be able to get as well as a free download. So stay to the end here. I'll give you the link to those resources, and we'll send those out afterwards as well. And these are going to be some actionable things that talk about not only social media but other aspects of increasing your visibility for your company. So hang with me here over the next 30 minutes. Just give me a few minutes of your day. I promise you're going to get some value out of this. Please turn off the Facebook and all that stuff, even though we're talking about social media. Let's focus in on here. And, here's the reality of the situation, that a lot of common reasons why businesses like yourselves are struggling is because it's really competitive out there, and at the end of the day, it can be expensive to get the phone ringing, and you're looking for specific strategies in order to make an impact. You hear a lot of things that people will say, try this, try that, try that. I have experience working with over 50 companies across the country, and I'll show you exactly what works for us on social media in this call, right? And that's really what I think, as a business owner myself, you want to know, is that what am I doing is actually going to have an impact. And so the reality is that, about 10% of the companies are getting most of the jobs out there. And that's because they have a strategy in place in order to increase that visibility, increase the branding of their company, and ultimately build that reputation so that people can find them when they actually need their services. And so most companies, there's this common issue of, you provide an amazing service, you want to help out the homeowner or the business that needs your help, but they maybe just don't know you exist, right? And so what we try to do is help you become the best known company in your area, and social media is going to have a factor in that. And so what our strategy is, and what goes into play here in the strategy is three main components. That is about visibility, branding, and reputation. Okay, visibility, number one, showing up when people need your services in your local area. Branding, building that trust that when people do find you, that you can actually help them, and other people say. The third component is other people say that your company provides an amazing service with your reputation. What we're going to focus on today is the main piece for today's topic is social media, and how social media can help you build that local brand presence and trust that you need, that goes with the visibility side of things. So obviously it's about social media. There's some channels here. Everybody's kind of seen these, whether you involve with it personally or you have it on um, you use it for your business. Obviously, the first one here is Google Maps. We got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, and you're like, oh my gosh, where do I start? How do I have time to do this? We're gonna give you a step-by-step path here to understand where you can have the biggest impact. Okay. Um, why does social media matter? And there's three main points here that I want to kind of get across. Is social media matters because it helps build a local brand presence and trust. Okay, it creates something called social proof and word of mouth, right? And so not only does it help within your community, but it actually gives Google trust that your company is someone that can help people searching for those searching for your services in your area, right? It also helps you showcase your expertise, your services, and show off your reputation. Okay. And so a recent study I saw that showed that 82% of property owners check local social media before hiring a company. Now, here's the thing I want to dispel here on this webinar is that social media in of itself is not going to open the floodgates for your leads. But what it is going to do, it is going to give you trust and brand recognition so that when people do find you in other mechanisms, they're going to be able to see that you can actually follow through with what you say you can do, right? And so just because so that stats there shows that when they find your company, they're clearly most companies are going to search your company name and look at your reputation and look at your reviews before they decide that phone call, and maybe they make the phone call and then they search afterwards, right? And so we want to make sure that whatever is shown about our company out there is in a situation that that looks good. Okay, I'm going to show you a test that you can do for yourself here to look and see what your profile looks like. So here's another thing I want to dispel, that it's not a competition between social media and search or Google SEO or Google paid ads. They actually work together to build that trust and what's called EEAT. And I'll show you exactly what that means in just a second. It's actually a part of Google's patents and technology to be able to understand that a company is trustworthy and has a local brand presence. Okay. And so let's talk about that specifically. What is EEAT? It's a weird acronym. Again, I hate throwing out acronyms, but in Google's patents, it actually talks about this strategy, which is related to expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Okay, and those four things working together creates this sort of triangle or bubble here that you're looking at that gives the ability for Google to recommend your company to people searching. Okay, so I know this webinar is about social media, but social media and Google search work hand in hand very closely nowadays. It didn't used to be that way. You could throw some paid ads up, you could do some social media, and boom, your company is going to show up. That's not the case anymore. You have to have these signals in place in order for you really to dominate your space. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. A test you can do is you just pull up Google yourself and search your brand name. Okay, if you go out there and search your brand name, do your social media profiles show up, right? This is something that homeowners will do. They just had a call with you, you've got an appointment scheduled, and they don't know your company, right? it's a very logical thing for someone to do, is to go out there and search for your company, maybe before or even after they call you, right? And so I would love for you to do this after the webinar. Search your brand name or variations of your brand name. Do your social profiles show up? And if they do show up, what does it say about your company? Are you proud of what it says about your company? Is it reflective of who you are as a company and the services that you provide? And then do another test. Put your competitors that are with providing the same services in Google, and do the same search and see how you compare to your competitors. And this is going to show you where you need to work, what you need to work on, because this is things that are actually happening, not only from a client potential standpoint, but from a Google standpoint. Okay, so let's do that test afterwards. But let's talk about, if when you do that test, what you need to adjust and how you need to adjust it. Some of the common challenges I hear in social media and in marketing in general is, I don't have time to post. I don't know what to post. I'm dealing sometimes with sensitive issues, whether it's sewage backups or I had a client tell me today they had Barbies stuck in a toilet that caused an overflow for one of their clients. I mean, so you have crazy situations that you deal with, so you don't want to post sensitive information. And you're struggling to understand how you can stand out for your competitors, and probably one of the most important things is it worth my time to do it, right? So these are the 6 platforms that we recommend. And it might sound daunting. If you're not already doing social media, how can if I'm not doing it now, how can I focus on 6 different platforms? A lot of these work hand in hand, and you can use scheduling softwares, or you can hire a virtual assistant, or you can hire a marketing agency to help you do these sorts of things. But Google Business Profile, you might not think of that as a social media aspect, but I'm going to dispel your thinking on that in just a second here. Your other aspect here that you want to look at is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. Okay, so these are all important platforms out there. There's other platforms that sort of have some social media aspects in them, such as you'll see Nextdoor out there. You'll see Yelp. You don't think of it as a social platform, but it actually is. You can share photos and things like that. So all of these platforms are important, but these are the ones that we tend to lean into and have had success building that trust. Okay, so let's talk about them real quick here. Before we get started, I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. Press a 2 in the chat. You can still hear me if this is making sense, what we're talking about. I would love for you to put that in there. Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Okay, cool. So Google Business Profile. Now, you don't think of this at Google or social Google Maps as a social platform, but it actually is. They have the ability to make posts on Google. They have the ability to promote different types of posts, events, and actual offers. So in your Google Business Profile, if you go to google.com/business, you should be able to see your profile, and you can schedule different types of posts in there. And here's my recommendations on this. I'm going to show you some examples of those. You want to do posts that actually link to other assets online. So if you have a website, if you're talking about water damage restoration or mold removal or whatever it may be, you want to actually link to that pretty much in all of your posts. Okay. The other thing you want to do is use video and photos, right? So if you're out on a job site, you're doing a mold job, and you've got some video you want to take about what the difference is between mildew versus mold. Do a quick video on that, and you can put the app on your phone and upload through there. And you want to connect. You want to interconnect these assets. So don't just post on social media and say, hey, we did a mold job out here, or we did a water job out here, and here's a photo of it. You want to interlink these types of posts to other platforms. Other things that you can do on Google Maps is promote jobs that you've completed. If you've hired some new team members, if you have an anniversary to celebrate, all of these things are natural components that Google is looking for to gain trust in your company. Okay. So what do I mean by interlinking? So when you're actually making a post, you want to, when you create that post and it's about a specific topic and you have another online asset, such as a website or a review, on Google Maps, or review on Yelp, or you have a YouTube video, having a link within that post to that actual asset is what I mean by interlinking. Hopefully that makes sense there, Tim. So interlinking those together, it shares a technical SEO term. It's called link juice, is basically what it is. I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna talk about this, and Google will follow that link to that asset and build some strength off of that. So um, there's a couple components here on Google Maps that people typically don't do, which is events. So let's say you're trying to build some relationship with realtors or property managers, or have a workshop or something like that. You can create what are called event posts, and you can create offer posts. So these don't have to be specific offers like an X amount off or whatever, but you can have an offer post that says we do free inspections, or you can have like some sort of preventive maintenance services, or there's any number of offers that you can promote out there for this. Those are the three types of posts that you can do on Google Maps. Here's some examples here. Before I get into the examples, you can kind of see the examples there. On the left-hand side of the screen here, you will see a Google business profile. As of this year, Google added this section in here on your Google business profile that allows you to connect all your social media channels into your Google business profile. And this is why I'm telling you that this is all connected together. It's not one or the other. It's social media and Google search is combined. So if you go to google.com/business and you go to edit your profile, you can link all of your profiles in here. And these will actually, Google will actually interconnect those profiles. And I've actually seen it pulling some of those social posts over in some areas. This is a newer feature within Google, but if Google's asking you to put that in there on your Google business profile, it's because they want to understand your brand presence and your local, build that trust from other things that you're saying about your company. So if anything you get out of this webinar, go out to your Google Maps profile, add these links in here if you have them. You're going to gain some trust from Google by that, because it clears up any mixed signals on Google of which profile is yours, or maybe your profile is named a little bit different versus what one profile says. You're telling Google right here what that is. All right. Here's some example posts. You'll notice here that there's some, emojis in here. There's some call now buttons or a link to a specific post. These don't have to be fancy. You can have a sort of a graphic here, but you can also just post a picture of somebody. You can post a picture of a job that you've had, right? And so these can vary across the board, but the idea here is if we go back on the frequency, 2 to 3 per week is what we recommend with Google Maps. Okay, so that's Google Maps. And with this strategy, this is an example of what's called a GeoGrid, of visibility for Google Maps profile. And with this strategy, we've been able to really help our clients build that trust and build that local brand awareness so that they show up in Google Maps all over the place, along with some SEO services we do with that, right? So I just want you to know that this absolutely works, okay? The next platform we want to talk about is Facebook and Instagram. Really what this is building a local community engagement, and you can use it for emergency updates or anything like that, there. But again, 2 to 3 posts per week in there. These don't have to be any different than Google Maps. You can post on all the same platforms, but again, you want to interlink those properties together, like I talked about before. Different types of things that you can promote is, let's say there was a flood. I just had a flood in St. Louis. And one of our clients here in St. Louis got 30 phone calls in a day, right? He called us up and said, hey, turn off my ads. We've got plenty of work to do, right? All of that came because he had visibility out there. And now he's continuing getting those calls because Google trusts his brand, trusts his presence online. And so you can use weather alerts. You can do like let's say there's a hurricane coming in, all of those sorts of things, sharing your expertise, um, you know, promoting business partnerships, seasonal types of things. If you're in a cold weather environment, talk about ice dams or talk about those different areas. If you're doing community involvement sort of things, share those, share testimonials. There's a difference between Facebook and Instagram in the aspect of on Instagram, you can no links will actually show. You can't click on a link within a post. Facebook, you can. So usually Instagram is more video type related reels or stories. So it can be a little bit more work to put those together. But those platforms kind of go hand in hand there. It's just if you want to link on something, typically put it in a comment or on your Instagram profile. You can actually put links in your Instagram profile up there. So some examples with Facebook and Instagram, you can promote your reputation. You can talk about your jobs that you're doing. You can talk about, what makes you different. And so don't overthink the design of these things. Sometimes the simplest, the better. One of the other things that I would say here is I didn't do a good example showing you actually people here, but people stop people from scrolling. So if you see an image of a person, it's going to stop that person from scrolling, and they're going to actually look at it more so than a more commercialized image of something, right? So you use your team and photos of your team members in there to get people more engaged on those posts. Okay. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great resource. It's very trusted by Google, and people often overlook LinkedIn as as a social media platform, but it really can help build business relationships. So as we know in the restoration space, whether you're doing water, mold, or fire, having relationships with other businesses that can refer you work and you can refer them work is a huge component of growth, right? And another fishing pole in the water, so to speak. And so utilizing LinkedIn's power and trusted platform, you can create posts and you can create articles on LinkedIn platform that link to your website, your other social channels, your Google Maps, all of those different online assets. You can talk about jobs that you've completed. You can showcase your certifications, all of those different areas. So do not sleep on LinkedIn. I've noticed a lot more LinkedIn posts and actual articles getting indexed or showing up in the Google results more recently. And so this is something that we really try to heavily lean into, not only for you to be able to connect with business to business stuff, but actually increase your SEO rankings from LinkedIn posts and articles. So some of those examples again are similar to the other social channels. You're posting things about your team, or you're posting things about specific jobs, and you can see engagement across the board in LinkedIn is really well. So the next platform I want to talk about is YouTube. All right, so YouTube is great for showcasing your expertise and your experience and your reputation. Again, you can do 2 to 3 posts per week. You don't have to do as many in LinkedIn, in YouTube, but videos are, people consume information in different ways. Now, if your home is flooded, are you going to go out to YouTube to call an emergency company? No, but you might go in there and try to find a video about how to solve a specific issue. And maybe you need to figure out how to shut off the water main in your home. And most of the homeowners aren't going to, they might try to stop the water flow, but they're not going to know how to dry out and do all those other things, right? So creating videos about common occurrences, why people call you for your services, and what makes your company different on your YouTube profile, and then taking these videos and sharing them across Facebook, Instagram, and your website, create a very positive signal in Google's eyes. Okay. And with a YouTube video, it is actually a Google property, right? So you're using Google's assets and you're interlinking that with everything else. So very trusted. The one thing I want to note here is a lot of people will take and create YouTube videos and they think they need to be 10, 15, 20 minutes long or some big high production. They do not have to be. It could be you getting on a cell phone and just doing a 2 to 3 minute video that talks about a common occurrence about black mold in your home, or any other topic that you want to talk about, right? The other key aspect on a YouTube video, the title is by far the most important aspect of a YouTube video. In your title, you want to talk about what the first words of that title need to be very specific to what you're trying to cover. So do not make it so broad that nobody's going to search for it. So let's say you're doing a video about your company culture, and you create this video and you post it out there. In the title of the video, you put our company culture. That doesn't mean anything to Google. How many people have posted something about their company culture? What we want to talk about is what your company culture as a restoration company in specific town. Put your brand name in there too, right? And so that title is critically important, along with the description of what you have in that video. So if you just post a video out there, you took the time to post the video, you took the time to do all of that, put a detailed script description in there, what you're talking about, and then link to your other assets, link to your website, put your phone number in there, put your Google Maps listing in there, put your other social channels in there. All of this are important factors to get more value out of the work you're actually doing with the YouTube videos. Okay. So some examples of YouTube videos, you can create YouTube videos about your services, and you'll notice there's some different combinations of titles there. It's right, talking about the service in a specific area. It's talking about the company brand, and thumbnails make a world of a difference. If the thumbnail is of somebody going like Frozen on the video, that's not gonna, maybe somebody will scroll, but thumbnails with photos of people in them actually work really well. And these are some examples of some service videos with photos of jobs and things completed there. So those are the main platforms. I didn't dig into TikTok really deep because TikTok and YouTube and Reels and Instagram are very similar. And so you can utilize those platforms in similar. The difference in Instagram and TikTok and even YouTube is you can put what are called tags in these descriptions. So tagging your town name, or tagging is basically putting a pound sign and then a short keyword there, or description of what's going on there. And if you go after, you can put a bunch of different tags in there. Is it going to make a world of a difference of the views? It can, but ultimately, I always look at it the 80-20 rule, right? We want to make sure we're doing things, but you don't have to make it 100% perfect out of the gate. You can improve the process along the way. Okay. So with this webinar, I want to make sure you have some actionable things coming out of this. Okay. Like I told you before, please go out there and search in Google and see what your brand name shows up as, see what your social channels look like. Are you happy? Do they accurately represent your company? If they don't, you have some things that you can work on, right? And if you don't have a channel yet for one of those profiles, you can search how to create an Instagram profile or how to create a YouTube profile. And you can create those channels out there. Okay. There's other videos that you can look at on how to optimize those. I'm not going to go in depth on how to actually step-by-step set up these profiles, because there's so many other resources out there that you can do. I just want you to make sure you know which platforms to focus on. Tim had a question. Do you recommend cross-posting your Instagram and Facebook Reels on TikTok? You can absolutely do that, but TikTok, you can't put links in the actual description of the TikTok video. But you can, in your profile, put links to your website and your other social platforms in your TikTok profile. So, but you can create similar type videos. Anything to do with TikTok or Instagram, you want to make sure you're using the phone in like a vertical position. So that way, that's how those usually line up and look better. Horizontal would be better for YouTube when you're doing any sort of videos and whatnot. in those platforms. The second thing here is make sure you're creating, hopefully that answered your question there, Tim. Make sure you're creating a content calendar. As business owners and people that are working on our business and trying to help people, it's very hard to find time to do this at the last minute, right? What we do for our clients is we plan 30 days in advance because we want to make sure we've got everything lined up, everything designed, everything ready to go, so it's not last minute. And what I'd recommend is time blocking. As a business owner, I have to time block myself because my day gets out of control if I don't block out time to actually work on the business. And so plan ahead. You've got some topics, some ideas on topics to cover. And so don't start today just going out there posting everything out. Plan for the next 30 days. Is what I would love for you to do. That way you have some consistency with the post. If you just create one here and then 3 months later create another post and do all that stuff, you're not going to have the benefit that you're looking for. You need to have a consistent strategy posting every single week, and that's going to get you that trust and that brand signals that Google's looking for. Again, like I said before, on the post, 2 to 3 times per week is just fine. If you just start with one post per week, great. That's a starting point, right? But plan that out for the next 30 days and have a consistent framework of how to do that. You can use Google Sheets to plan that out. You can use a Word document. It doesn't matter how you do it, but the details that you put in those posts are important. Include your name, address, phone number. That's what NAP stands there for. Name, address, phone number, plus your website, and try to create a nice thumbnail. If you don't use canva.com, that's a great easy platform that you can use to create nice thumbnails. It gives you some examples of thumbnails that you can use for those, because the image will actually stop the people from scrolling and actually engaging it in that post. The third component here is what to promote. We talked about promoting your company. What makes your company great, your team, your culture, your experience, highlighting your reviews and reputation, promoting your services, showcasing the jobs, before and after images, and obviously your expertise, and talking about common issues, why people call you. We all have heard the calls coming in from our clients, right? And so if you're creating content about those common issues, I can guarantee you that people are actually searching for those issues. And so you want to be showing up in your area as the expert about those issues, right? So, those are great topics to post. The final point I will say here in this red little thing here, share company posts across your personal profiles. If you've done any sort of social media and you've done this and you feel like, man, I just don't feel like it's actually helping me. Here's what I'll say is that you have to share you get the best out of social media if you share your company posts across your personal profiles. How many of us have personal profiles on these different platforms that have family, friends, coworkers, networking groups around you, right? Personal profiles always get more views versus a company profile. On the company profile, Google will index those and visit those and everything like that. But you can get more engagement if you take that post, click the share button, and share it on your personal profile. Some people don't like to keep their personal profiles personal. That's fine, but you're going to get more out of it if you share your company stuff across your personal profiles. So, little trick there to help you get more engagement and more out of those posts. So, I'd like you to take out a piece of paper now. I'd like you to pick 3 things that you are going to focus on out of this information I've given you today. If I didn't cover a question for you, please write that question in the chat right now. But I'd like you to pick 1, 2, or 3 things. If at minimum you pick one thing, that's great. It's a starting point. And then the second part is who's going to help you on your team, or are you going to do it yourself? Who's going to help you implement these 3 things, right? So I'd love for you to either write it in the chat or write it on a piece of paper. What's the number 1 thing you're going to focus on right now of any of these things? If it's just a matter of going out and doing a search for under your profiles to see where you're at, that's the first step, right? So does anybody want to share any, what's the first thing they're going to work on for their company in the chat? If you wouldn't mind, give me some feedback there. What what are you going to try that of these projects for your company? And don't be shy. You can share it in there. If not, that's totally fine. I get it. Okay, creating content in advance, Nick. It's a game changer. It really is. As you probably know, you're super busy, right? Um, Literally block off and make an appointment for yourself on your calendar, saying I'm going to do social media in these 2 hours. When I do content for my company, I block off 4 hours of content to do content for the next 30 days. And then I have someone on my team that actually puts it together. Abby, she's amazing, and she helps me get things across the finish line. So lean into those things. Cross posting, John, great. Lori, videos, great. There, Tim, we already post reels about having more TikTok. TikTok, okay, great. Yeah, lean into TikTok. You know, everybody is consuming information in different avenues, right? Jason, 1 post a week to 3 posts per week. Absolutely. Don't forget on those posts, put links to your website, links to your Google Maps. If you have a review, you can put a link to that review actually, because when you go to the review on Google Maps, you can click share and you can get a link to that Google review and put it in your social post. Kelsey, trying to make content that gets more engagement, comment, and shares. Yes, we all want to do that. I wouldn't over I wouldn't try to perfect it to a situation where just you're worried about comments, engagement, and shares. Um, you know, at the end of the day, yes, that those are nice metrics to have, but that is ultimately not the end goal of this. The end goal is to make sure that when most people in this industry, when they're going to need something, they're going to pull up this phone and they're going to go to Google and search for it, right? And what you want Google to understand is that you are an expert, you have a local brand, and that you have a positive reputation. And social media really, they look at those profiles and they can visit those profiles. You know, so those things are good things to measurement, but it's not the end of the world. How do we rank? Nick has a question here. How do we rank in other areas, zip codes? I rank high where my physical address is, but nowhere else. All right. So let me just take off the video, the share here. So this is more of an SEO sort of strategy, but you can utilize social media to help with this. So on your website, you can have actual pages for those locations that you're trying to rank in, unquote, increasing that visibility, right? And so on that page, you can talk about all the services you provide in that area, and then use that website across all your social media brands and profiles to talk about those services that you provide in your area. The other aspect that you can do is go out and get reviews from people that are in those areas if you've done jobs there. Another aspect you can do is create what are called case studies of jobs that you've completed in that area. So it's sort of like a triangle. You talk about the services that you do there, you show jobs that you've completed in that area, and then you get reviews, and you create this triangle of trust in Google's eyes that you're an expert, you got a positive reputation, and you've actually done work in that area. And if you haven't done work in that area, it's difficult to start with, but you know, ultimately, you know, those are the things that we've seen that had the most success if you work on those three things. Nick, hopefully that was helpful. Okay, so we're just about done here. The last thing I'll say is please try to take one thing out of today and implement it. If you're like me, I come to things like this and I'm like, okay, these are the 10 things I want to do, and then I get super busy helping our clients and doing all these other things, and then things just slip by the wayside. Pick one or two or three, and really try to lean into those and stick with it. Don't just do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Plan to do this for the next 3 to 6 months, and you will have a positive impact on your business. Okay. I love this quote from Thomas Jefferson: never put off until tomorrow what you can do today. It's so true. Just take action. Imperfect action is amazing. That is what we need to all do as business owners and entrepreneurs is take action. Don't overthink it. Do what you can with the time that you have. Okay. And as I said before, we've helped a lot of companies in the restoration industry. And if you would like to have a call with me to talk about your social media strategy or what you're doing online, this is the only thing. There's nothing for sale here or anything like that. If you want to schedule a call with me, go to restorationmarketing.com/calendar, or you can just go to restorationmarketing.com and you can schedule a time with me. We can evaluate your social media. We can look at your SEO. We can do all of those sorts of things. And at minimum, I can give you some recommendations. And so that is all the information I have to share with you guys today. But if you do have any questions, excuse me, losing my voice here. Yeah, no problem, Nick. If you have any other questions, go ahead and put those in the chat there. I'd love to answer those as we wrap up here. But there will be a replay of this, and we will send out in that replay a link to download our book and other assets to help you with SEO and your social media profiles.